is Eric from Indie Invasion, and we are back again with an interview. And I have my partner Mac with me, as always. And today we're looking at a game called Battlespace. And this is by Robert Salters, who is joining us of Table Salt Games. And this is a game that's Ultra Modern Solo Skirmish game. It's a really interesting game. Nice, easy download, easy to set up, and he said he'd come on and would chit chat a little bit, learn a little bit more about the game. And I have yet to play it. Welcome, Robert. Mac has played it and had a blast with it, so we're going to spread the love, right?
Yeah,
Mac?
man. So, Robert, start out. Tell us just a little bit about Battlespace, just a tiny bit for starters, and then we'll go from there. Because here's the book. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's $12 to download everything.
How can you beat that? That's great.
That's the best price. It's cheaper than a value meal in some places.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So tell us just a little bit about Battlespace.
Okay, so like Eric said, it is a ultra modern skirmish game, solo, designed with that intent to be a true solo modern game. It's perfect for today's
it's perfect for now.
A very simple rule set, I feel like, but can get in depth. And plenty of room to expand upon.
Right.
So
that's good. That's good. That's a good tidbit so we can get into the questions.
Okay.
So we have a series of questions that we always like to ask just to find out a little bit about you and then find out a little bit about the game. Put the thumb screws to you and grill you a little bit about the game. But
not too bad, Robert.
How did you get started in the world of gaming? What was your gateway? How did you get into gaming?
So many years ago now, not too many, a few years back, I was invited over to a friend's house to play Hero Quest, that Grail game. And I was already into like somewhat D&D. I didn't really play D&D, but I knew about it. But when I played Hero Quest, I was like, man, this is really cool.
Right.
Immediately went out to find me a copy, found out that they were selling for $200 to $300 on eBay. Maybe not for me. Then a few years later, I got a chance to really play Dungeons and Dragons, and so that's where the ship really sailed. Just starting with 3.5, playing D&D. Then within that, we started playing some, BattleTech, the clicks for BattleTech.
Okay.
And we did that for a little while. We dabbled around with some Magic the Gathering. So it was just all kind of flowing in at the same time. And finally, I got my footing nice and set with wargaming, tabletop, and thought that, this actually is better for me versus like board games because, I get board games, they sit there and collect dust. We play them once.
I got some in the other room.
I know the feeling. I've got way too many. My wife's always talking to me about these. But no, it was just easier. You only need one person to play in most cases. And I kind of just started like with everyone, kind of like dabbling around with some rules, making some house rules, made a few house rules that people kind of liked. And they said, man, you're pretty good at this. You should take a crack at making your own game. So again, another year or two down the road, I designed Heroes Among Us, which is a superhero-based tabletop skirmish game, small scale. And it did fairly well for what I was expecting. I figured one or two people may download it, and it got a pretty good warm reception. And with that, I was like, okay, let's try this again. And then
might be something here.
Exactly. I was like, well, there's definitely a little bit of money here. So just starting out. So I was like, I got started with Battlespace. I don't know if you guys know, but I reached out to like a lot of veterans that I know personally. My line of work. I know a lot of retired military, still active as well, law enforcement, and with my brother being prior military, or Army, in which case, it was just easy to kind of get that knowledge and finding out what really mattered and where I could kind of take some creative liberties on some things. So their feedback really great, and it really pushed the game along to be what it is today. So
okay,
awesome.
So when you first got started in game playing, you said you touched on a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of influences.
Getting the
But
can.
what was your favorite game when you first started? I mean, what was the one that is like, man, I gotta sit down and play this game?
You know, it's between Hero Quest, because that's the one that kind of really introduced.
Introduced you?
Right.
Okay.
But like I tell everyone, I'm like, if I was stuck on a desert island with 3 other people, we're playing D&D. That's going to be the game, you know. Not to take anything away from tabletop or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's D&D because it's just so expansive and you can do so much with it.
Well, yeah, your limits are basically what your mind is and where you can go with it.
And believe me, there's a theme that runs through all of these indie developers, and it's
Got to
D&D.
start a little counter, I
Yeah.
think. A D&D counter.
Absolutely. So why Battlespace? Why Ultra Modern Warfare? What inspired you to do that particular setting?
So it's just really interesting to me that the whole modern tactical aspect, just going high speed, and again, just knowing so many guys in that field,
Mhm.
it was just right at home for me, just because I had so many brains I could pick on that topic. So it was a no-brainer. I just went for it, and there was never really any debate on what should I do next. And this obviously after Heroes Among Us. So
Mhm. They do say a lot of times when creators are creating something, they say go with what you know, and
mhm.
it's obviously you have a lot of that influence in your life that you can draw on to put into the game, and make it more relatable. Because it's like you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense because of what your resources are, so to say. So
Well, I want to talk about the actual game because I got to play it. Now, so a couple of things I want to talk about is this right here. So this is the Battlespace movement and area of effect and throwing arc and scatter card. And I'm going to tell you something funny about this, Robert. When I got this, we had recently talked about a game called Tribal by a company called Mana Press Games out of Australia. And they had something similar to this where they were using the card for movement. And my very first thought was, I love my widgets. I love my tape measure. Don't make me use a card to move my model. And I was maybe a little bit indignant. And then I tried Tribal. And I realized, wow, I actually kind of like having this here. So when I saw that you had this, which incidentally, for those that are listening, I did see the acrylic one that you are potentially trying to get made, and I am a giant sucker for any kind of widget or movement, or so I'll get 3, maybe 4 if they're in production. But for those that are watching, this is how you move all your guys, and it really makes the game great. And it's innovative, and at the same time it's so simple. It's like you didn't need anything else. Why did you do this? What made you go down that road?
So complete opposite from you, I guess. As the tape measure, the tape measure was just getting on my nerves.
Okay.
It's so common with games. I really seriously, I just wanted to do something a little different. And so I wanted to. I like getting the most out of every little thing. So that's why I packed so much into that card. I want it to be like you said, the area effect. It's the movement. It's the tossing arc. So just being able to have those multiple uses out of it, I said that's 2 or 3 tools that you won't need now, to just to condense the game even more. So and again, the tape measure, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're all used to using tape measures, but I just wanted to do something slightly different to kind of, I guess, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but
Oh,
But it makes it, I think it makes it convenient to have, so much of your game is that size, that card size,
yeah.
whether it's the stat cards, the movement card. It's convenient to have when you're packing up and going from place to place. A lot of times you could be meeting at a buddy's place, if you're going to do like a co-op game, or if you got some extra time, you can throw it out on the dining room table. It's easy to have that, get into that limited space. How much space do you need? And having it all conveniently together like that and multi-use is a really good idea, I think, for any game, really. And I think that was beautifully done.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think as much as the market is flooded with so many indie skirmish games right now, having a little bit of a gimmick is kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it's not
because
a bad
it
thing.
is a lot of times when I'm looking at games, and we look at a lot of indie games, I would like to say it's because we do it for the podcast, but it's really because we do it because we're addicted. Just trying to be fully transparent here. but that gimmick, I mean, I know it makes it sound bad, but that little gimmick it's a little bit of an appeal. It's that something different that game is bringing to the table.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a different spin, and I personally enjoy that.
It's going to make somebody remember it because of that one little element.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going off a little off track here, Eric, because I got to talk about the game, because we've done a few interviews where I haven't had the opportunity to play the game yet, and I've had the opportunity to play yours. And I want to say that this sit rep deck, I got a lot of light, so a little bit of glare there, but is wonderful. I absolutely love this. So let me tell you how our game went real quick, and then I'll let you respond however you would like. So we did a co-op because my buddy came over to help me with the game. And as you saw with the pictures I posted in the Facebook group, I'm probably a little older than you, so I more identify. I was in during the Bosnian conflict and was stationed in Hungary for a while. But as a kid growing up, when I played G.I. Joe, I was a Marine dependent, and all my G.I. Joes were fighting in Vietnam, because that was what I knew. So that's the setting that we played in. We played in Vietnam. And as the game progressed, we started out, had some good rolls. No extra sit rep cards were drawn initially. I'm like, wow, this is pretty easy. We're like 3/4 of the way to our objective. We got this, man. And then it all broke wide open. I mean, nobody could roll a good initiative roll. Sit rep cards were being drawn 2-3 times a turn, and then in the sit rep phase. And it was just, we thought it was a walk in the park. We ended up getting away. We got the objective, but we only got out with 2 guys. So it was very exciting. It was a lot of fun. It started slow, and then it kind of blew up in our face. Is that what you were going for with the sit rep cards? Or, I mean, is that
exactly what I want. It's exactly what I love when I'm playing games, especially solo, co-op too as well. But it's that not knowing what's going to happen next.
Randomness, yeah.
It's of randomness. I know some people are like, they like things kind of A, B, C, but I prefer a nice random game. And so with Battlespace and that sit rep deck, you could, just like your game was, Mac, you could be kind of strolling through, and then all of a sudden, it just, crap hits the fan.
Oh, yeah.
Funny story is when I was recording, mission 3 for YouTube, and after I got done with it and going back and editing it, my daughter says, "Dad, do you want to post a game that you lost?" So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and be real with everybody. If the designer can get beat, then, they know it's a good. So, yeah, there's no, you just got to be rolling good and think smart when you're taking that gear. So,
well, yeah. I can handle the second part of that, but the first part, the rolling good, that's not in my wheelhouse.
I guys that starts at 15 and just goes up from there, So.
Yep. All right, so Eric, you got that next one?
So let's see, next one. Are we jumping to what's in store for the future of the game?
What's in store? Yeah.
What do you got in future, Robert?
So we got a few things in store. The biggest thing I'll start with, and then we'll trickle down, is the deluxe edition with Modiphius. I've been speaking back in Chris Birch for a few months now, and we're just about there. I just wanted to tweak a few things, and you know how it is when you're creating these rules and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I want to pack everything in there, but you kind of have to pick and choose what's going to be in. Just so it's not filled and there's not too much fat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're just about there. I've got some new rules we're going to throw in there. There's going to be some rules that we've tweaked a little And I think you guys, I don't know how often you guys go on to the Facebook group, Battlespace community page, but I did make a comment about having a set number of enemies coming out of certain buildings and stuff.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, rolling on that to determine. So I'm still in the air. You guys will see a video coming out pretty soon where I did that same thing, and it worked out pretty well. It tapers the intensity down just a little bit because okay, well, we've got 4 guys in this building. It doesn't make you want to hang around the building to pick these guys off as they exit the building, but still kind of grounds it a little bit because the game, as you know, it can get out of control so fast.
Right.
So we thought with being able to minimize the enemy element coming at you in certain areas, it would kind of balance things a little better. Now they can still enter the mission area from the edge of the table as normal. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it'll make its way into the book. Chris is kind of giving me free reign to do what I want as far as edits to the book. So great. The other thing is the acrylic movements, maneuver cards. Those are in production right now. Hopefully they'll be done this coming week. And we can figure out how to start getting that out to people. So
awesome.
Yeah. Other thing we've got is we're working on another enemy faction. We're thinking of some sort of Eastern or Far East Yakuza type faction to fight, maybe against some CIA or something like that. So I was watching Jack Ryan a little while ago. So.
and the wheels started going. Actually, Eric, that's something that you were talking about before we came on. Why don't you go ahead and speak to that about
one of the things that I noticed, and I think some of this triggered in my brain with you, Mac, wanting to be Chuck Norris and setting your game in Vietnam, was that the way that your design of the system is you could have fun with it and adapt it to different settings if you want. You can adapt it to more of maybe a sci-fi or a fantasy setting. So for people that are watching and listening, don't be deterred by the military aspect of it, because the mechanics, like your dice rolling, which by the way reminds me of your role-playing influence with the D20. I think that was a cool thing. And your modifiers they're quick, they're simple, easy to remember, that you can transition this to different settings easily, and that's a nice element of the overall game system.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I found that, as I said, I played mine in the Vietnam era. Well, none of these enemy cards are NVA regulars. So, but the name was irrelevant on the card because all of the information insofar as gameplay, it didn't matter what the name of it was on the card. It still fit for whatever it was. And so, like you were saying, with the little Yakuza, CIA, maybe some triads and the Tong and all kinds of other stuff that you could just incorporate. And it was a simple matter. Obviously, we took a couple of gear cards out of the deck because we didn't really have access to drones while we were trying to retrieve our crashed chopper.
Done.
But still, it was very exciting. We're always excited about all of the indie games, but having played this and it being solo and as much fun as it was, and I only played it on a 2x2 board, but I'm also playing it at about 18 millimeter for the models that I have. So a 2x2 board was plenty big enough. And it was just a lot of fun. It just was. And so for you guys out there listening, at the very least, for $12 to download it, it's worth having it in your library to just go download it, give them a look. And I say $12, but that's for Battlespace and where did I put? There it is. I was all prepared, and the Navy SEALs expansion book, which I also had to get because, once again, addiction it's real. The problem is real amongst
I
the
see
crew.
The library behind them.
Don't look behind me at all that stuff. Just ignore that stuff. That's don't do that. So, okay. So now that I've rambled about the game and praised it, and hopefully you leave feeling good about that, because I think job well done, sir. But
Thanks.
if you had to pick one, because I know you only have technically 2 factions right now, so who's going to be your, and do you have a favorite character amongst the heroes that you have available?
That's a good question. I think it's Pena that gets to make a second attack if he gets a KIA.
He does.
Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely my go-to. I was like, I wish I would have made him when I when I first made. So, playing that game last night, and I was like, man, this guy just really rocks. So yeah, it's Pena. That's my favorite hero or Navy SEAL.
He's a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero. There we go. Yeah. So as far as the enemies, did you want me to answer which ones?
Sure.
So that's a tough one. There's different aspects I like about each set. But the Ubuntu, they have the technical,
Right.
So that was fun when we were designing that game. That was a lot of fun. So that puts them up a notch.
I don't like the sniper, and that's just from practical
Because he
experience.
rocked you.
He did. He did. He happened to come up right when I had no choice but to cross a big old section of open ground. So I was standing in the open.
You were basically skipping through the fields going, ah!
Oh, man. And then once we finally got rid of him, we were like, okay, we're right here by the objective. We can grab it, get off the board. We're good to go. Sniper again behind him. Yeah.
Wow.
Guess who was still in the open? I was. Now, I hadn't been in the open the whole time. I had gotten in cover, and then we were headed back out. But no. And do you think my dice helped me?
Probably not. They never.
All right.
Have that dice jail ready, man.
That's right. Get that dice jail ready. All right, Eric, you take the next one, buddy.
All right. So, Robert, what games do you currently play when you're not working on the stuff that for Battlespace?
That's a good question. I've not had much time to play anything else lately. I think me and my oldest played so a game we picked up at Target. It was like a Wonder Woman in the Amazons or something like
I think
that.
I've seen that, yeah.
It seems like it's a take on I don't know, maybe I draw a blank on the other game I feel like it's based off of, but it's a good kind of game. You're kind of moving your guys around the board trying to stop the spread of the villain. So it's almost like, I would say.
Like Pandemic, I got you.
Yeah, it's close to that, just with that Wonder Woman veneer on it. We played that recently. I'd say if my go-to game, if we're not talking about D&D, I like a good game of Zombicide. It's
a fun game.
Yeah, we haven't played it in a while, but that's one that really got the entire family kind of game. So, because again, just those simple mechanics, and with zombies, everyone can, relate. I believe,
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, see, you're only in Columbia. I have all the Zombicide games. You bring your family, I'll bring mine. We'll play all of it. We'll set up a giant 8-foot table.
8-hour game. Here we go.
Yes, I'm in. I'm down with that. Hey, careful now, because if you come down to the convention, we can make that happen.
No, I'm down for it. My wife. Yeah. Well, I'll deal with that when we're on the drive home.
So imagine this is your elevator pitch for the game. You want everyone to play it. Give us your elevator pitch for Battlespace.
All right, elevator pitch. Let's see. All right, get you a copy of Battlespace. It's one of the hottest games out right now. It's got an expansion. It's a solo game, and since some people are still quarantined, it's the perfect game for your tabletop.
That was a good elevator pitch.
There we go. I'm not a salesman by any means.
Well, you don't have to be a salesman if you produce a good game.
There we go.
Yeah, and so where can people actually find the game, Robert? Where do you got it located for people? Is it download, right?
Yep, it's a downloadable PDF. It's at wargamevault.com, and you can just Battlespace and it'll come up, or you can search for Table Salt Gaming Design, and it'll pull it up as well. Hopefully we get things squared away with Modifius and we can get that physical copy.
Yeah.
That won't be anytime soon. I mean, I don't really know how long production and all this stuff is going to take, but we're still waiting on me. So as soon as I get off my hands, we'll get that done. So.
Well, and it's nice, you guys, that if you do download this, you get everything you need, right, Mac? It's everything, cards, rules. You just need to go print it. You can print it at home if you want to go on the real cheap, or like you just took it to what, like
I just put it on a flash drive and walked it to Staples and stood there for 15 minutes printing stuff.
Okay. And then Robert, you guys also have a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, it's the Battlespace community page. So go check us out there and give us a like and keep up with all the content and everything everyone's putting out.
Absolutely. So, Robert, we can't thank you enough for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and talk to our little podcast about your really great game. Yeah. And for everybody out there listening, as usual, we'll throw links up to Wargame Vault where you can download Battlespace. You can pick that up. We'll also throw links up for the Facebook group so that you can go over and join that. And we'll, of course, share that around, put the word out there. Don't forget that while you're watching this on YouTube, to pop over to the Indie Invasion Podbean, follow us over there, and you can see all the stuff coming out for all kinds of other independent games that we like to talk about. And Robert, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm hoping that we will have Battlespace at Coastal Con this February. That would be great. We would love that.
Committing right now. It'll be there.
All right. Well, that's what I like to hear. I'm going to put that in my little notebook so that it is official. And, you know, we are a coastal town, so it's a nice place. You can bring the whole family, and especially it is still South Carolina, so it's not that cold in February, you know. But
I'll tell the wife vacation down in Beaufort.
Yes, absolutely. Stay at a nice bed and breakfast right on the waterfront. Good to go.
There you go.
Good to go. So, guys, as usual, when you're out there playing your games and you're out there looking for something, always remember the indie developers out there putting out some of the best content that's currently out there. We don't hate the big games. We love the big games too, but maybe not as much as we love the small independent games. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So while you're out there playing your games, throwing dice and having fun, remember to prepare yourself for the invasion. See you later, guys.
Bye, guys.